welcome to Darts and Crafts. I'm Patrick McKernan, and we'll be, pardon me, I'm struggling with a cold at the minute, so my voice will be a bit huskier than normal, which is probably a good thing. But we're here to preview Premier League Darts Night 8, which is taking place in Berlin. Yeah, I'll be doing the preview and predictions. But first of all, we'll run through Night 7, which happened last week. And yeah, a few stories from that. So Johnny Clayton, who in the previous 6 nights had always won a quarter-final, finally was vanquished at this time of asking. So he ran into Luke Humphries. Luke Humphries played very, very well to beat him 6-3. So Clayton's streak of making the semi-final in the first 6 weeks has gone. But other stories from that was, of course, Jan van Veen, who was unable to play last week due to kidney stones. Michael van Gerwen went straight into the semi-final there. Luke Littler defeated Stephen Bunting 6-3. It was a very solid performance from Littler. Didn't do too much wrong. Stephen Bunting didn't do much wrong either, but Littler was just, he was consistently just on fire with his Dublin. Josh Rock, I don't know how many times I can say this, and as a fellow countryman to Josh Rock, it's getting grim to even predict what will happen to him. He just, as I said in my live tweets last week, he just doesn't seem to love the vibe of this tournament, or of the Thursday night schedule. Maybe the first to 6, maybe he's just not feeling it at all. He's playing okay outside of these tournaments, outside of these nights of the Premier League. Geraint Price barely had to get out of park, let alone first gear. He barely had to get out of park to defeat Rock 6-0. It was horrendous to watch. Price wasn't really brilliant in any way. He was consistent. He was okay. He was scoring well, but Josh Rock again posting low 80s in his 3-dart average. It's not going to cut it, and it just makes, with each passing week, it's getting closer to. I'm sure he's embarrassed now, but it's getting closer to the bad record breaking. I think it took 9 weeks last year for Bunting to get a win. He's really aiming for tonight, I'm sure. And then, as mentioned there, of course, Humphries went past Clayton. The semi-finals were Luke Littler and Michael van Gerwen. Now, it's a very topsy-turvy match where neither were playing fantastically well. They were playing in spurts, so it was a very touch and go, brilliant scoring, but not consistently at the same time. So they were going on little runs. Van Gerwen was fantastic. They both had chances to win it, but Littler prevailed, and he went through to the final to face Geraint Price. And we were sort of hoping, based on week 6, that it would be Geraint Price, because it was absolutely phenomenal, really, that match. But Geraint Price absolutely took advantage of Luke Humphries again having double wobbles and beat him 6-1. But no, I don't think anyone would have beaten Geraint Price in that particular match in that form. And touching on that, the final last week, my word, I thought I'd seen everything that darts had to offer, but Geraint Price and Luke Littler put up, I'm not going to say a classic because it wasn't a great match, but it was probably the most ridiculous, sort of tense, exciting match you could see. So Geraint Price just steamrolled. He continued his form from the semi-final, just played absolutely brilliant. It was hitting ludicrous shots. Dublin was bang on point. He raced into a 5-0 lead. Don't think anyone saw that coming, and Littler just looked lost at the races, but he pulled one back. And he pulled 2 back. He was sort of playing up for the crowd as well. The crowd in Dublin were giving him a little bit of, friendly hassle. And Luke Littler was giving it playing up. But I think it G'd him on, because he got from 5-0 down. He was 5-2, 5-3. He pulled it back to 5-all, and then I was oh my goodness, you could see Geraint Price was trying his best to stay in the zone, because that's how he works, but I think he had lost his mind by that. At 5-2, he had chances to win 5-3. I think he had chances to win 5-3 and 5-4 as well. But yeah, his Dublin let him down after like just flying into a lead, and I think he was sort of laughing at himself at 5-2 down, or just like the situation. But Littler just upped his game so much, and yeah, it went down to a final yet again between these two, final leg decider, and Luke Littler prevailed 6-5. It was here. Price will be raging at himself. That wasn't Luke Litter winning it. Luke Litter upped his game, but yeah, it was Price losing that match as opposed to Littler doing anything. He was sensational, like in his comeback, but yeah, as sensational as he was, Price had so many opportunities to kill that match off, and instead of a 6-0, 6-1 defeat of Littler that would have like got him going for the rest of the season, he's just like sitting there going, how did this happen? I cannot believe he isn't practically. He probably went home and like bit his pillow and screamed into it afterwards, because that was just absolutely shocking. But it's all done now, and the Premier League table looks like this. It's Clayton on top with 19 points. His consistency has proved to be just too good for everyone. So, but Littler is behind 16 points, so just 3 behind now. So, I mean, if Clayton gets knocked out again in a quarterfinal and Littler goes on and wins, then Littler will be top. This is after 5 weeks when it looked like he was lost at the races, didn't know what was going on, didn't seem to be in any sort of form or mood to even put up a like proper contest. But I guess he's back in it. Like it's, as I said, like it's easy to see Littler going on and winning like 4 or 5 more of them, but he also could just be wanting to go on a streak of getting enough points. As I said before, sort of like 23, 24 points tends to do it. So looking a little bit more odd this year with Clayton on 19 and Luke Humphreys on 11, Van Gerwen on 10. May take a couple of points more, but like we'll be reaching the halfway stage tonight, so we'll sort of see how everything's settled in. But sort of early to mid 20s sort of generally gets you close to a top 4 space and a place in the playoff night. But yeah, Clayton top on 19, Littler 16, Gerwin Price behind on 12 when he probably should be second with 14 points. And then Luke Humphreys, despite not winning a night as yet, is on 11 because his consistency is getting better, but his doubling remains a little bit of an issue. Tonight, then, we have our quarterfinals in order. So for anyone watching, this is in Berlin, so they're starting an hour earlier. So it's at 6 p.m. So like sort of coverage, TV coverage will start about 6 p.m. UK time, so it'll be 2 p.m. Over East Coast. Yeah, it's obviously just to navigate with the time difference between UK and Germany. So the quarterfinals, we have Johnny Clayton and Josh Rock up first. So Johnny Clayton, the most consistent player in the Premier League so far, won 2 nights. He recently in the Belgian Darts Open there, he lost in the final, so his consistency is still pretty high in that regard. So yeah, like it's the most consistent player in the Premier League against, well, obviously the least consistent player, but Josh Rock has it's a tough one to say for Josh Rock, because at this point it's almost becoming a parody, because there's nothing much more we can say comparing his game in the Premier League. Like it looked when he hit that 9-darter in Belfast that I could spur him on. He played a little bit better the following week, but again, it's sort of he's regressed to the sort of Premier League mean of his earlier weeks, and it is quite sad to watch. I'm not just saying this as I say a fellow countryman, but just as somebody who knows how good Josh Rock is, he just doesn't seem to be grooving with the Premier League at all. And of course, there's shouts from outside about, oh my word, like why did Damon Heta not get the place? Like offered other players up there, but it's here. It is what it is. Josh Rock just needs to like let all that noise go, put in a performance. It's going to be tough because Johnny Clayton is like this year is the master of putting in performances. The only thing going in Josh Rock's favour, maybe that Clayton didn't get out of the quarterfinal last week, so maybe he might have another Thursday night blip. So I'm gonna go in this one. Like, yeah, I can't. It's just so tough to go for Rock at the minute. In the Premier League, I really hope he wins, but I'm gonna go Clayton, and I'm gonna go 6. Oof. God, I'll give Josh 4 legs in this one, 6-4. Marked improvement on 6-0. So Clayton will play, if Clayton gets through, he'll play the winner of Luke Humphries and Michael Van Gerwen. Now, Humphries is showing a good amount of form at the minute. His scoring is very strong. Now he is, as I've mentioned in previous weeks, his scoring is still up there, up there with the highest in the Premier League and on the PVC this year. But his Dublin just seems to be letting him down. Shockingly so. It's very odd. It's very odd indeed. Now, I mentioned Johnny Clayton made the final. They're the Belgian Darts Open, and he lost in the final. He lost to Humphries, and that's just so handy to say Littler because Littler wins everything. But he lost to Humphries, but he had built up a strong lead in that match. And Clayton just came back. Clayton was consistent, and it was again the doubling from Luke Humphries that was letting him down. His doubling was he won at 8-6, but it was like I think his percentage was 34. 8 out of 23, so he missed 15 chances. It's like sort of double the amount that most players would miss in like a final would go to 8 legs, but I mean, if he can fix that, his scoring is fantastic. So, and it's hard to sort of go against him scoring wise because Van Gerwen, ever since coming back from that illness he had in week 3, it just hasn't looked the same. He's throwing very inconsistently. He'll throw a 180 and then throw a 5 treble 1. When he's going for the 19s, when he hits a 20 and it's not worked out for him, he'll go down to the 19s, and it's just 2 single 19s quite often. So his consistency just hasn't seemed to have been there since he's come back. It's tough to say, but if Van Gerwen hits a purple patch, he can get through most people. So there's always that, but I'll say for Luke Humphries and his consistency, I'll go Luke Humphries, and I'll go 6-3 for that one. And then in the bottom half, we've got Luke Littler and Stephen Bunting. Littler and Bunting, good friends, always put in a pretty decent match against each other. I just see Littler wanting to get the points required to get in to qualify for the playoffs. If he gets 25 points before week 10, week 11, then he can rest. Basically, he can sort of treat Thursday nights almost as an exhibition. And that's not to say, that's not to put anything against the other players or to say he's that good. That but he is just that good that he won't have to stress about it. He can just go in. So I'd say Littler would be gunning for it this week again. If he wins is another thing, but I'd say he'll have too much for Bunting, and I'll go 6-1 against Bunting. I think he'll just fly out of the traps. And then in the final match, it's Gerwyn Price, Jan Van Veen in the 4th quarter final. Van Veen obviously just still recovering from kidney stones. I think he's been checking it. From what I'm reading, he's checking it still, sort of his ability to play right up until the night. He's saying he's trying his best. He posted a couple of days ago on his socials that he was doing practice throws, but it wasn't looking brilliant. So he will probably gauge, he wants to perform, but he also wants to take care of his body. So he'll probably gauge closer, and if he has to pull out, he'll pull out. So, but either way, if he does play, he's up against Price. Price has typically said he's not going to sort of pull any punches. He'll show no mercy. He's he must have been tapping in his inner Cobra Kai there. He said he'll show no mercy to Van Veen, and I well believe it. But given what's happening Van Veen with the kidney stones, and Price's general form, I'm gonna be very mean here. I'll be Van Mean to Van Veen and say Price will get through, and it'll be 6-0. Which sets us up with our semi-final. So with my predictions, which let's take it with a mountain of salt, that my predictions will come through. It will be Clayton and Humphreys in the first semi-final. No, Clayton and Humphreys played in the final there at the Belgian Open on Sunday. Humphreys got over the line despite the double wobbles, and it could stand him in good stead. He did say that he was glad to get the victory, even though Clayton came back. But he just said it's harder when you're not winning consistently to get that leg over the line. So maybe he's that's part of his part of him addressing the double issues is that it's just the nerves maybe that are affecting him when he's taking those throws to win a leg, and he hasn't with Littler coming in and dominating everything. Maybe Humphreys feels a little bit out of whack. He was the top dog for such a brief amount of time. That maybe there's something in that. I'm not saying it's an ego thing, but I think it's a self-belief thing. But maybe winning against Clayton will sort of address that. Clayton has been spectacular from day dot of the tournament. Now, he lost last week in the quarters, so it could it could happen again into Rock, but I doubt it. So in the semi-final, I think Humphreys will have taken a lot of confidence from winning that Belgian Darts Open, and I think Humphreys will hopefully address those issues, because it's quite painful watching him take 8 or 9 goes at finishing off a match and seeing people come back or be in a healthy position and just sort of implode almost on the doubles. But I'm going to go for Humphreys, and I'll go Humphreys 6-3 in this one. And then the second semi-final, if things go my way of prediction, I will be Littler and Gerwyn Price. Glory be. 3 weeks running. Will it be another classic? Probably. Will Gerwyn Price be looking for instant revenge? Yep. Will he get it? Who knows? There's an old adage in sports where there's in football where it's 2-0 it's a dangerous scoreline. Price probably won't want to get to 5-0 again, that's for sure. He probably will, to be fair, but if he's at 5-0, he might start getting palpitations. But I'd say it's going to be another brilliant match. I mean, it's so easy to say 6-5 between these guys because they just bring out the best in each other. But I have a feeling that this will again be the match of the night. I'm going to go 6-5. I'll flip a coin here, actually. No, I'll go right heads, Price, tails. Heads, Price. No, I'm joking. I think it'll be Littler. I think Littler will win, and I think it'll be 6-4, which sets up first of the season. People were thinking there was going to be multiple of these, but if it goes that way, then it's the first meeting in the Premier League this year of the Lukes in the final. Everybody was thinking these two were going to be the top two, just duking it out every week, but hasn't come that way at all. But in this one, I feel it tough between the two Lukes based on just how incredible Littler is when he gets into these positions against players he loves playing against. It's tough to say Luke Humphreys will win. I really hope he has sort of addressed the Dublin issues. If he has addressed those, then it could be an absolute barnstormer, could be a total classic. If not, Littler could sort of glaze through this half asleep because his Dublin issues that he was having earlier seem to be pretty much addressed. Now, I know he did lose in the Darts Open. Those matches are in him as well, just to sort of switch off and lose a match you wouldn't think he would lose, but he did lose it. It was in the third round, I believe. It was to Neil Zonevelt, who's a really good player. If you can check him out on YouTube, he's very good. But it was a shocker because it was the first time he'd lost any ranking match since October last year. So absolutely crazy. But yeah, we've got all that stacked against Luke Humphries, just how good Littler is in big matches. But if the issues are addressed and they're addressed properly and there's no double wobble, I'm going to go and say Luke Humphries to win this one 6-5. I think the Humphries, like to the confidence that he would get from that win in Belgium, and the chat he had afterwards where he just said, like, it's a confidence thing. If you're not getting over the line consistently, then it does make you think. So if he addresses that sort of mentality and he's like sort of admitted, sorry, in part, that it is sort of about getting over that finishing line, if he gets over that, then he can beat Littler. But both of them at their best, it's 50-50-ish, 55-45 maybe to Littler. But like, no, I do think if Humphries is on fire, he can win this. So I'm going to go Humphries 6-5. And then the Premier League will ignite from there. It'll be in its second half. It will be an interesting night in Berlin. As I said, it starts an hour earlier, so 2 p.m. probably broadcast time in the US. It's FanDuel Extra TV on Pluto TV. So hopefully you get to watch it. And I laugh at my predictions again, but I do think Luke Humphries is going to be the winner this week. But I'd say to everybody, like I would most weeks, if they were due to play each other, Price and Litter is probably going to be the highlight. Seems to be that way. Long may it run. But hopefully I will be back again next week for the next step of the roadshow. But for now, signing out. Everybody have a great time. Enjoy the darts, and I'll chat next week.